Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris, and I'm dialing in from normally Johannesburg. Now I'm dialing in from the Karoo in the Northern Cape and making my way down to the Western Cape. We're doing a whole set of public presentations over the next few weeks. And so, anyway, tonight we've got something a little bit different, very, very exciting. Organized to get Andrew Lomax to come onto the call this evening. And he's going to be doing a training that I saw him do a training about 3 years ago. And, you see certain trainings that just never go out of your head because it made a very big impact in my life. And there's a lot of things that we have spoken about over the last year, being part of LifeWave, the concept of planting seeds. You've heard us say that many, many times. Uh, this is a convention that we had. There was a couple that spoke about the three different types of tomatoes. You get green tomatoes, you get red tomatoes, and you get rotten tomatoes. And all we are is we are in the sifting game. That's all we are. We're in the sifting game. But many times I've spoken to people about the concept of planting seeds. Now, you cannot eat the fruit the day after you've planted the seed. There's a process involved. And it's very similar with LifeWave or any type of business. There's a lot of people have got a concept of instant gratification. We live in a drive-through breakthrough society, and everybody wants to do something now, today, and they want the results tomorrow. But we have to be realistic on our expectations. And this is a process within a process. And the reason I say process within a process is because we've got something very different. You've heard people say this is like complete space age Star Trek technology. So when we're sharing LifeWave with somebody, we first, number one, we've got to understand that we're not sharing something that everybody knows about in the marketplace already. So when we're looking at your traditional vitamins and health and wellness industry, you talk about vitamin B, you talk about omega, you talk about vitamin C. People know what it is, right? So here we come talking about a patch, a little sticker that you're going to stick onto your body, and this is what's going to happen. And people go, really? Really? I'm sure we've all experienced that because it's something foreign. So initially, it's a bit foreign. I look at myself when I was first introduced to LifeWave. I was like, a little patch, a little sticker that you're going to stick onto your body can do that. Um, so that's sometimes initially some of the reactions that you're going to get. But the beauty of the company that we involved in called LifeWave had been around for 20 years, as we know. So we've got all the backup, the support, the supporting documents, the case studies, the patents. We've got all the paperwork. We've got all the supportive documentation that anybody would ever need supporting that this product does what it says it does. And so initially, so when a person first hears the information, they're gonna be wow. And then it's up to us to give people little bits of information and obviously sharing testimonies. And then the process within the process, they would first want to try the patch. And then, you've all heard the saying, the proof is in the pudding. At LifeWave, we say the proof is in the patch. So we let the patch do the work. And then the person uses the patch. And then they start getting results. And then they want to start sharing the business side of it. So that's the next part of the process within the process. And now this is where I've got Andrew in, because all of this doesn't happen. You message a person tonight and they sign up tomorrow night. And by Monday, they've got results. And by Tuesday, they're signing people up already. That is the world. That's the perfect world. But we've got to understand that this is a process. And it can take anywhere from, sometimes it can happen in a week, right? But we normally talk about a season. Everything happens in 90 days. So that's why I say to people, we've got to have patience. We've got to have patience. And when a person sort of says, like, no to you, the person's really just saying, not right now. They're just a green tomato, and that's okay. Let the tomato go back and just ripen up a bit. So, without any further ado, we've got Andrew Lomax that is going to be talking about the mindset of a farmer to give a little bit of perspective on the process within the process. Andrew, my friend, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Can you all hear me? Am I audible?
Yep.
Just by way of disclaimer, I am not a farmer. So do not hold me accountable for the things that I'm about to share. The principles of sowing and reaping actually don't belong to us. They were given to us by our Creator. So some of these motivational speakers and business coaches have gone and tried to claim that, they've taught the sowing and reaping principle. Well, sorry, God did it first. He was the first farmer. He'll be the last farmer, and he makes all the seasons happen. So we just follow a process, which is not one of the P's, and we allow that process to unfold in our lives, and we make sure that we are diligent in following that process. So what I want to share about tonight is in line with these principles of sowing and reaping, and giving us an understanding that if we follow the process and yield ourselves to that process, we will reap a harvest. There is nothing in this world that you plant in the ground that will not yield a harvest to you. So if you plant, obviously something that can be planted, not a motor car or a cow, but if you plant seeds, those seeds will generally bear a plant, a tree, and that will eventually yield a fruit. That's just the nature of what has been created. Obviously, you can't plant seedless grapes and get seedless grapes. Those things have been genetically modified, all right? They don't have seeds in them. So there's nothing there to produce anything. So you've got to actually, in your own mind, in your own heart, determine what it is that you want to set out to do, all right? The first P in my process that we have here of becoming a efficient farmer is planning. Planning. You have to determine what it is that you want to do and what it is that you hope to achieve. What kind of farmer am I going to be? If you think of some of the natural crops that are out there that yield a fruit, that produce money in a marketplace, there's certain crops that have higher value and greater return than others. Things like macadamia nuts or cashew nuts, they yield a greater return than something like lettuce or tomatoes or lemons, for instance. Okay, and you got to plan this thing. You got to decide, well, what am I in this for the long haul, or am I just here to make a quick buck? Am I here to produce crops that are going to be crops that are fruitful, that are nourishing, that are going to really impact society, that are going to change a generation? Or am I just in here to, grow a couple of lemon trees so people can put a slice of lemon in their Coke or in their gin and tonic, and make some quick bucks and move on? You have to plan, and you have to be dedicated in that planning process. Now, I know Chris has done some training sessions in the past. He does the lovely session on AIDA and understanding how you need to go through your phone and take out all the contacts that you need to contact. That's part of the planning process. Sit down, be diligent in it, make your lists, think about the people that you can approach, think about the ones you've already approached. Remember, they will say no to you about 6 or 7 times until they say yes. But you've got to keep going back to get those no's before you get the yes. So, keep that in mind in that planning process. Okay, I spoke to Doris 3 months ago. Maybe Doris has had some time to stew on it. Maybe Doris has thought about it. Maybe Doris needs another patch, whatever it may be, So don't write them off. Don't scratch them off the list, but keep them in that part of the planning process. because at some stage you're going to go back and revisit Doris, and Doris's no is going to become a yes. By the time you go back to visit her, you would have gone through maybe one season, maybe two, maybe three or four. Maybe you've gone through 10 seasons before Doris changes her mind. But don't lose sight of Doris, because she will always be part of that planning process. She was on your list to begin with. Just because she said no doesn't mean you dump her in the dustbin. She wasn't ready to be planted at that stage. She wasn't ready to commit. So you keep her in there. Planning is a very, 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 very vital part of farming. You got to plan what crop you're going to plant. Okay. One of the best crops that you could ever plant and get a fantastic yield from is avocados. But you know that it takes an avocado tree 7 years before it yields its first fruit? How many seasons does that avocado tree have to endure before you're able to pick its first fruits? Not 7 seasons, it's 7 times 4. You've got 4 seasons in the year. All right. That's a lot of seasons that it has to go through. How long do you have to endure? How long are you prepared to endure in this process before you get to that good fruit, that high yielding crop? Okay. It might take you 7 times 4 seasons before you get there. But you have to have it in your mind that this is where I'm wanting to start out. You have to understand that in this process, the planning never stops. You have to plan for every single season. Most farmers don't only farm one crop. They farm multiple crops because they need to make sure that they have sustainable income. Even farmers that farm with animals have some kind of crop that is planted as well, so that they can either supplement feed for the animals or that they can generate income in the season when they can't actually sell or slaughter the animals. All right. So there's never an end to the planning process in farming. You have to plan for every season, and you don't ever just plan once. You plan continuously. You plan the process of the earth, what you got to do in order to get to the place where you're going to actually put the seeds in the ground. You've got to plan the finances to actually sow those seeds. If you want to get out there and you want to start actually impacting people with these patches, you've got to plan financially to be able to have patches available to put on people. All right. It's part of that process. You've got to plan. In which season am I going to plant? And what am I going to plant? What is my focus going to be? We know there's a protocol for this thing. It only works if you follow the protocol. It doesn't work if it's sitting in the sleeve in your sock drawer. It only works if it's applied to your body where it needs to be applied. Now, if you start doing that in some kind of focus group and you've got people that have, like I said, maybe got the same or similar ailments, hey, we human beings, we want to compete with each other. I want to see the results first. So what are we going to do? We're going to create some kind of accountability in that little group, and we're going to start turning things around. So keep that in mind in your planning process. And remember what I'm saying. It never ends. That planning process never ends. You're going to exhaust that list at some stage. Then you've got to start finding new people. And so what I'm talking about now, like maybe this focus group of people, could be something you've got to maybe put your attention to once you've exhausted your list. Or maybe in going through your list, you know that Tani Sunny struggles with swollen ankles. You know that Pete struggles with swollen ankles. And Jan's always got a problem with, swollen hands and swollen fingers. Well, there you go. There's your first 3 off your list that you could actually probably group together and put some attention onto it. Okay. So be wise in that planning process. Be flexible in that planning process. Don't ever get yourself stuck so rigid that it has to be exactly as you've written it on paper. I had a call earlier on this year in January, and I said to the guys on the call, I said, you know what my philosophy is for this year? I'm not actually going to try to have this plan or this goal to work for the 5 months or 6 months or a year. I'm going to plan one day at a time, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And that's not saying there's no planning involved. There is planning involved. But I've learned a very, very hard lesson literally in the last 2 weeks. There's no guarantee tomorrow. You've only got what is ahead of you right now. Even the next minute isn't guaranteed. So plan in that to commit to the time that you have. If I wake up in the morning and I breathe fresh air into my lungs and I'm able to swing my legs off the bed and stand up, I've got some hope for the day. And I've got to use every opportunity I have in that day to make the most impact that I can, because tomorrow I might not be here. So don't stretch yourself in this. I'm trying to teach people, lose this mindset of a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. It's unrealistic, absolutely unrealistic. It's not guaranteed. And what happens is when we get so focused on that, we actually cause ourselves to become anxious, and anxiety causes fear, and fear cripples us. So we don't move ahead. So keep your planning, keep your focus to today. What am I going to do today? I'm not saying don't have those lists and things created. That's important. Have it available. They're resources to you. But the only thing that you can work on, the only thing you can impact is the environment that you're in right now. Even in a farming analogy, the farmer may not be there tomorrow. His land might not be there tomorrow. We could have a flood tonight and it could wipe out his entire crop. Did he plan for the flood? No. What did he do? He planned for today, and he did what he could do in today. The flood just happened. Circumstances are out of our control. But what we have to do is plan for the moment, plan for today. Get up in the morning, make a commitment that tomorrow, if I'm blessed enough to wake up, to breathe that air into my lungs and swing my legs off the bed, tomorrow, I'm going to phone the next 10 people on my list or message them. That's planning. That's committing. Tomorrow, if I wake up and I breathe that air in my lungs and I swing my legs off the bed, I'm going to plan to start forming a focus group. Keep these things in mind. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. If you build a jigsaw puzzle, you can only build it one piece at a time. It's got 500, 1,000, 5,000 pieces in it. You can't build it all at once. You can only do it one piece at a time. If you're planting a field, you can only plant one seed at a time. You might have 10,000 seeds to plant, but you can only plant them one at a time. You can scatter them very quickly, but it's not going to be effective. Destroy your whole planning process, right? You've got to plant them one at a time. The second P in this process is preparation. Preparation. The farmer has to prepare his fields, no matter what the season is, summer, winter, autumn, spring. He has to prepare his fields. You've got to till the earth. You've got to add something to it, maybe some fertilizer, maybe some manure. Maybe there's some other things that need to get added to it. It's got to get watered, even though there may not be any seeds in there. That earth needs to be wet. Preparation. What are you doing to prepare those people that are on your list? What are you doing to prepare yourself to go forward into obtaining this harvest that you deserve? Are you connecting with people? How are you connecting with them? What is your intention when connecting with them? Are you seriously concerned about that person? Or are you just after another person in your downline? We have an amazing product in this opportunity, a product that can literally change people's lives. And there's enough testimonies to back that up. We have a company that's more than 20 years old, who did all the planning, who did all the preparation, who created the products. We can't treat people like they're just a number. We need to prepare them. Prepare them for the gift that you're about to give them. Prepare them for that gift. Build a relationship with them. Open them up in conversation. How are you going to know what the things are that they're struggling with in their physical being if you don't take time to listen? Open up a channel of communication. Show some genuine concern. Become a little bit more empathetic with them, that they can understand that you're interested in them. Share with them. Share some of your experiences. Share some of the testimonies. But don't let them feel that you're just after them to get them to be another customer. We have the ability, with the opportunity that we have and the product that we have, to really change people's lives, and not just in a physical way. Okay? So prepare yourself and prepare your fields. Prepare your fields. What are your fields in this opportunity? Every single person on your list and every single person you haven't yet met. Prepare your fields. There's some people that have amazing testimonies of what's happened to them and their experience from one person encountering them in a shopping center or a restaurant or somewhere and just putting a patch on them. What were you doing? Well, I was preparing the field. I put that patch on them and I left it to do what it can do. They had an experience of it, and in that, it prepared them to receive what we had to share. So engage with those type of testimonies. Listen to people's experiences, that it can prepare you mentally and physically, and that it can prepare, and then you know how to prepare them. Things that you're sharing. Take the time to listen. Take the time to engage and prepare the fields. Then what do we do? Once the fields are prepared, well, we've got a responsibility to plant the seeds that we have in this opportunity. What does that mean? Well, we actually have to take that seed, that person, and we have to immerse them into the opportunity. So we've prepared them, we've exposed them, we've maybe patched them once or twice, we've journeyed with them. Some of them need to be planted a little bit deeper than others. Like every crop, like every tree, whatever it may be, plant them, immerse them into the experience of the opportunity. Immerse them into the experience of the opportunity. Get them to the meetings that Chris is having. Get them into online presentations. Get them into the culture of the opportunity. Planting is number 3, yes. Planting. P3. Okay, so it's important. Plant them. How do we do that? You want to surround them by everything that the opportunity has to offer. Get them connected so that they can feel the energy, that they can feel the vibe, that they can get the understanding that there are hundreds of thousands of people out there who have something to share, something to give of themselves that they've experienced through a physical change, through a mental change, whatever it may be. Plant them into the environment where they can flourish. So what does that mean? How do we do that? Again, it comes back to listening and understanding. Connect them with people that maybe have similar experiences. Connect them with someone that maybe has MS, who's been using the patches for about 5, 6, 7 months or longer, who's seeing results. Plant them in that environment so that the testimony rubs off, that the energy is shared, that there just becomes this transformation in this germination process, because that seed that you've planted has to germinate. It has to. And it will germinate and it will grow and it will flourish and it will eventually bear fruit. But you have the responsibility to make sure it is planted in an environment where it is going to flourish. Listen. It's vitally important. Listen to them. It's not about you. It's not about you trying to get a sale. It's not about you trying to build a downline. It's about you trying to build a legacy. And that legacy is made up of these seeds that become trees that bear fruit, because that's what success is all about. It's not about you getting to the top. It's about you planting this incredible crop that is going to elevate you and push you to that place, because you've literally touched and changed thousands upon thousands of people's lives, because you planted those seeds and you nurtured them. and you grew them, and you got them to a point where they could become farmers too. So don't neglect that seed. Make sure it's planted in the right environment for it, in the right season, part of the planning, and make sure that when that seed is planted, it's not neglected. A farmer still has to water those crops. A farmer still has to nurture that plant once it breaks through the ground. A farmer still has to tend to that field, keep the weeds away, keep the negative vibes away, keep the negative comments away, keep them off of Google. Do what you need to do to protect that plant so that it gets to a point where it's going to bear fruit. And once that fruit starts to produce, well, then the rest is history. Why? Because everybody wants to come and taste of that fruit. Everybody wants the end result. But we can't start at the end. We have to start at the beginning. So planting requires precision. You've got to make sure I'm planting in the right place and I'm getting myself into a position that that seed is going to do what it is intended to do. All right? With the effort from myself. I don't just want a downline. I'm not in this thing to build a downline. I'm in this to build a legacy of lives that are going to be transformed and changed. The benefit of that is it does create a downline, but it creates a lasting downline. Can you imagine if you have a downline that is filled with directors? Not managers, directors. You want good fruit. So you don't just have 4 managers, you now have 4 directors or 8 directors or 20 directors. That planning, get back to the beginning, planning. This is what I'm setting out to do. So how am I going to do that? We would think, sorry, I'm digressing, I'm going back to the beginning, but you would sit and you would think, this looks dynamic and I can get him in and he's going to do sales and blah, blah, blah. No, LifeWave is not about sales. It isn't about sales. It's about life and lifestyle and changing lives. Sales is just part of it because there's a product involved. But your product, the product that we have, has the ability to really, really change someone's lives. Now, you don't want your top salesperson at the top of your leg. You want your top influencers, people who can share from their heart, people that can share honestly and with integrity. You know what? I started using this patch. Nothing happened. Nothing happened for 2 weeks. Nothing happened for 3 weeks. Nothing happened for 4 weeks. But in the 5th week, my eczema was gone. Okay. Now I'm convinced. Now I've got something to talk about. Now I can start influencing through that experience. If I've got some oak who's just radical at sales and he comes to me with a list of 1,000 people, but he can't influence those people and he can't have empathy with them and he can't nurture them and he can't grow them, I'm wasting my time. Because I want 4 directors and above in my front row. I want 8 directors and above. I want 20 directors and above. I want a downline filled of people with passion. People that are going to share with that passion. Can you imagine if you had 200 Harveys in your downline? Can you imagine? And why is he achieving what he's achieving? Because of his passion. Where did that passion come from? Somebody planted a seed. Someone gave him a patch. Someone said, try this in this situation with your son. They listened to him. They heard of his struggles. And what did they do? They planted. And they planted him in an environment where he could be nurtured. And when he was nurtured and he saw the results of that product, it produced this incredible passion. 200 people like that in your downline on his current rank level. Can you imagine? All right. Let's aim for that. Let's plan for that. I don't want 1,000 people who just buy patches every month. I want 200 hobbies in my business. I want 200 people that are overflowing with passion. Passion for people, passion for the product, passion to make a difference. And no, passion's not the fourth P. The fourth P is actually two words with a P. Patience and persistence. Patience and persistence. You can't plant that seed today and expect to harvest fruit tomorrow. Not going to happen. Okay? But you got to put that seed in the ground. You got to be patient that it can take its time to germinate. You got to be persistent with it. Don't neglect the seed you plant. Be persistent with those people. Walk with them. Hold their hand. Encourage them. Yes, it takes time. It takes effort. Yes, but that's what it's all about. You want to build a multi-million-dollar business, well, put some time and effort in. Okay? It doesn't mean we make a call once and that's the end of it. No. Being a farmer, Dad wakes up every morning before sunrise. He goes to bed long after sunset. Sometimes he doesn't sleep at night because there's some strange noises around the farm. But he's committed to it. He's committed to the crops, and he persists year after year, day after day. I mean, probably 90% of the farms in this country have been around for 3 generations or more. Probably more. 6, 7, 8 generations. Great-great-great-grandfathers started those farms in the 1700s, 1600s even. And the same family is still farming those farms today. That's persistence. Okay. So be patient once you plant that seed and persist. Don't give up. So what if someone says no? Move on. Remember what I said? Don't take them off the list. Be persistent in that. You'll come back to them. Give it another season. Maybe they're a winter plant and not a summer plant. Yeah? Maybe they're bitter fruit and not sweet fruit. Who cares? Come back to them. Just take the no as, yeah, next opportunity. Not open to it. Doesn't matter. Come back to it. Don't let it get you down. It's really not worth it. That person's not one of your directors. Spend the time finding those first 4 directors. Spend the time working with those things that you can nurture and grow. But most of it's going to come through experience. And then there's another P. We've got 4, right? I've got a 5th one, especially for those of you who are believers. Pray. Pray. From the time before you start planning until the time you harvest, pray. Pray every day. Pray over your seed. Take that list that you have and say, God, here it is. Here's my bag of seeds. Okay? Hopefully not a bag of nuts. A bag of seeds would be better. All right? And pray. Say, right, on the list here, I've got Gary, I've got Charles, I've got Wayne, I've got Chris, I've got Helen, I've got Johnny, Aurelia. Lord, I commit them to you. These are my seeds. And I ask you to help me. Help me to be diligent in the process of planting these seeds. Help me to be open to listening to what it is that they have need of. Help me to be wise, to be a good steward of the seeds that you have given me. And Lord, open these seeds to be planted and to produce a harvest. And in this process, I commit every single seed to you, because it's not my fruit, it's yours. And they're not my seeds, they're yours. And I'm just a steward. I'm just the farmer in this process. And you've given them to me, so help me. And in that, I give you thanks, I give you praise, and I trust you for an abundant harvest that can and will change many, many people's lives in this nation and in every nation on this planet. for this generation and for generations to come. Amen. Pray. Do it. Do it. He says, ask anything of me in the name of my Son, and it will be given to you. Why not trust him for this harvest? The founder of this company stands firmly on his faith. Where do you think he found that energy? Where do you think he got that vision? Where do you think he got that courage? On his knees, in communication with his Father. I mean, nobody understands the complexity of this body better than the Creator. And he gave our founder a vision and an understanding of that intricate process within the body. And it's taken him 20 years to get where we are today. And let's praise God for that and thank him for that, because this could be around here for the next 200 years, because it's making an impact and it's built on faith. So add the 5th P to your list and don't forget to do it. All right. And when you harvest, give thanks. Give thanks. Gratitude is a powerful thing, and be grateful for everything that we have and the opportunity and the ability that we have to be able to make a difference. So, Chris, was that long enough?
I'm still busy writing. Give me 1 second here. Right? Yeah, man, I've been writing notes here. Andrew, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a lot of perspective. And I love what you just said at the end there, talking about David Schmidt. And, he tells the story how he prayed to God and got a download. And this is where all the information came from to create LifeWave. And talk about persistence and patience. That is David Schmidt. A lot of people don't know for the first 2 years, he was making one patch at a time by hand in a garage. That's how he started. So that the first 2 years, that's how the man started. And then obviously, as we know, he patched the Olympic swimming team and built it from there. And the first 15 years, the company was just sort of doing this until the launch of X39 4 years ago. So if anybody's got patience, it's David Schmidt. And I'm so grateful to that man, let me tell you. And his goal, his vision is to patch not 1 million, not 10 million, not 100 million, 1 billion people. That is David Schmidt's vision. And that's what we all plugging into, is the vision of David Schmidt to patch 1 billion people. And that's what we're busy doing right now. Worldwide, we're not creating waves, we're creating little tsunamis. And this is, I've never done anything so exciting in my entire life before, because it's built on integrity and honesty and helping people. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world. That means absolutely nothing. You need to have your health, okay? And then helping other people. And that's what I've been trying to explain to a lot of people, where people say, ah, I'm not interested in the money. I'm just interested in the product and helping people. Part of the process is, without money, we live in a material physical world. And in this material physical world, there's physical bills that need to get paid. That's just the world that we live in, right? But with LifeWave, what is so beautiful is, if you're helping enough people, as you were saying, Andrew, with the problem that they have, because that's what we're here for, is to solve people's problems. You help enough people solve their problems. And the money side, business side, follows automatically on its own the way it should. Because what then happens is, you are able to pay things forward and help more people, because you cannot give from an empty cup. Once your cup starts overflowing, you can then give, and you can give more. And that's where everything else just falls into place so beautifully. And Andrew, what I find so amazing, this is not like divine intervention. Uh, you doing today's call, talking about farming, I'm on a farm right now at the moment. Okay, it's pitch black behind me because when it goes off in the Northern Cape where I'm at right now, the power's gone off. I mean, the stars look like little flashlights here. It is pitch black on the farm here. And yesterday and this morning, we're here with Jesse in a place called Kwaggasfontein in the Northern Cape in the Karoo. And we went for an hour walk. And while we were walking, Jesse was showing us a certain part of their farm. And he said they're planting soybeans. I said, "Oh, wow. When did you decide to plant soybeans?" He said, "Well, last year they were planting mealies. And because of hailstorm, the hailstorm, guys, what Andrew was talking about just now, the things that you don't plan for, they had a hailstorm, one of the biggest hailstorms that they had in decades, literally destroyed the entire crop. One bad hailstorm that they'd worked for the whole year, one hailstorm. And it was together with something else that happened. I think it was, what do you call it? The weeds and all that stuff that also came in. So it was a combination of two things and lost the entire crop. And when I was looking at that field, you could see for miles and miles. So we're talking about a loss of not a couple of thousand rand, millions, millions. And did Jessie and her family give up? Most people would give up. You've just lost millions. No, you make a plan, you improvise. Let's make soybeans because you might not yield as much, but it was cheaper to be able to plant those soybeans. And they had to plant more to get the same type of money that you would on the mealies, which are more profitable. So, wow, did we get perspective over the last 2 days talking about farming? And let me tell you, farmers are up at 5 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when the clock ticks in and there's work to get done and work to get done. And there are so many things that you've got to take into account. And yeah, just one day on a farm, 2 days on a farm, and you watch the way these people work and you watch their passion. You watch their passion. And like you said, this is generational, generational. That's where we're sitting right now in the beautiful situation with LifeWave, where this is generational. And we're going to be helping people and people and people. And we're just going to spread the world. And this is going to be for generations to come, like you said, Andrew, for 200 years. So wow, Andrew, thank you. Thank you so much. I've been dying to hear this training. And I really think a lot of people got a lot out of it. We've got a couple of minutes. I don't know if anybody would like to put their hand up and maybe share maybe one or two points that you've taken out of this evening's training. I always love to hear at the end what stood out mostly for some people. So if you'd like to put your hand up, um, I'll put your microphone on. Oh, there we go. They've got Charles with his hand up. Let me unmute Charles. Here we go. And Charles, I'm going to be seeing next week in Cape Town. Cannot wait. Here we go, Charles. I've just asked you to unmute. Press the unmute button. There we go.
Okay. All right. So the most important part that I took from this was the last P, where um, Andre had said, pray. That's very important. And that will take first place in my life. And prayer is very important. And as David Schmidt said, he prayed about it. And that's how I came across this business, because I prayed that God would lead me to something that would be of benefit to me financially. And that's when Chris came up on a YouTube that I was searching. And that was my answer to prayer. And so, guys, remember, pray is very important.
Oh, thank you, Charles. That was like the added bonus that we got at the end because everybody was getting ready for 4 Ps, and when Andrew said the fifth P, I could see everybody getting their papers out. Okay, we have a bonus today, and I've written a lot of notes, and right there on the prayer, what is so important is the gratitude. I think a lot of people forget about the gratitude. myself and Lucinda, when we go on our walk, we walk every morning for an hour. Do you know what we do for the very first 15 minutes of our walk before we talk about planning our day and our week and everything? We talk for the first 15 minutes, and all we talk about is gratitude. We say, thank you. Thank you for every single thing that's happened in our life for the day. And we do that day by day. And we just give gratitude and thanks, because how can you receive more if you're not grateful for what you already have? And grateful, like you said, Andrew, touched my heart, because I know what you've been through the last 2 weeks. I know that you lost a person dear to you, a very young gentleman, and left a family, a very young family. And that's where we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So if you are able to wake up and take that first breath, nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. And I've been like that for 14 years of my life. For 14 years of my life. When my little brother died 14 years ago at his bachelor's party, my life completely turned around. And let me tell you, I have gratitude every day to be alive, because he passed away when he was 30 years old, very young. And that can happen in an instant like that. So I live every day as if it's my last, with passion. If anybody knows me, it's with passion. And that's what we got to do. And we just got to have gratitude every day. So, Charles, thank you. Thank you that stood out. And then we've got Helen from Cyprus. Nice to see you, my
Hi,
friend.
Chris. Hi, everyone. I'm actually in Ireland at the moment. Thank you so much,
In
Andrew, for your
Ireland.
words of
Well,
wisdom.
yes.
Yes. It's a global world. Hey, we live in a small village now. We're so connected everywhere. Andrew, thank you so much for such an insightful message. And I would like to just add number 5 before number 1 as well, and encompass them both. So start to pray and end with the prayer. Just so many beautiful pointers there, that when you were saying about the seed, that it's planted one at a time, I also do believe that the soil, the terrain that you're planting in is very crucial. And we need to be selective of that, because when you plant the seed, which is this patch, somewhere where someone's not prepared to listen, and plant it in someone where it's receptive, because it's such a gift, and it's got to be planted somewhere where it is going to grow. The timing is not in our hands, right? So we plant the seed, we have the seed time, process time, and harvest time. And the process time is not in our control. So when we water it, we care for the people. I love what you said. You really do need to look after them and not just share it and leave them. And there's just so many beautiful moments there. Oh God, Chris, I don't know. There's just so much. But what we also need to realize is that where it's not in our control, we just share with love, we plant with love, and we allow the person to experience. So sometimes we think that seed's going to blossom within a certain time, and it's not in our timing, right? Chris, there's so much, but I'll share it another time rather, not to take everybody's time. When you spoke about your farmer changing his crop, he did have to change and pivot and adapt, but he also thought very carefully, because he planted something that was still something people needed, right? And that was the key, what you said. Give them what they need. Give them what they're going to use. Give them what's important to them, or what they're going to benefit from. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. We're going to keep planting those seeds and share the harvest with everyone. Thank you, because we're feeding the nations. Amen.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Andrew, and if you can just finish off in the last minute or two, closing the meeting. Any last words? From my side, I just want to say thank you. Andrew and I, we've known each other for many, many, many years. And it's just so awesome to have you walking on this exciting journey together with this beautiful community. Over to you, Andrew.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Thank you for allowing me into your homes tonight. And I hope that what has been shared is helpful. And I hope we will encourage each other and see more of each other along the journey. I registered for LifeWave almost a year ago, and I've done absolutely nothing with it. And yeah, that's fine. It's not my season. And I did it because I did it for somebody else. But I have to experience it myself. And I've worn the patches and I've seen some changes. And it's fine. My season's on the way. The time is coming. Because you don't want to do something half-hearted. I don't want to be, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can't walk on water if you're not prepared to get out of the boat. You can't make the impact if you're not prepared to commit fully. So I've got to get to that point where I know it's my only focus besides God, and I'm going to work at it as though I am that farmer, and I'm going to be diligent in it. But with a split focus, all I'm going to do is cause heartache and frustration. So I'm not at that point yet where I can say, right, this is my focus. This is my farm, that I need to work with it, and I need to nurture it, I need to grow with it, I need to commit to it, I need to be prepared for the natural disasters. I'm not at that point. And I can say that honestly. It doesn't matter. I'm registered, I've used patches, I've bought patches for people, I've blessed people with patches, but I'm not at that point yet to be that farmer. And be honest with yourself in that. And then it is your time, when it is your season to commit, then it will happen. But don't neglect the planning. And for me, that was part of the planning. I knew that I couldn't put my heart and my soul into it because I wasn't in that place yet. Too many distractions. But when the distractions aren't there and the focus can be there, like Charles says, when you've prayed and you've received the answer, you know the time is right. The door will open. And it will be your season. So I'm there. Chris and I have remained in contact, and we talk about lots of things, lots of times. But he knows, like I know, when it's my season, I'm there. But with the distractions we've had over the last year, it's been challenging to be in that place. So if it's encouraging to you or it's helpful in some way, don't commit to it if you can't commit to it. Rather be in it than out of it. If you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, we're not going to go anywhere. Okay. That's another lesson altogether. Not for tonight. Don't get me started. All right. But that's all I have to share. And I hope it has been helpful in more ways than life ways. Life waves.
Andrew, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I really appreciate you. And I love you bits. I love everybody on this call, guys. I hope you got something out of it. And we will be posting our schedule tomorrow, our full schedule for the next 3 weeks in Cape Town. So looking forward to meeting the people we haven't met yet. So from my side, from the Karoo, good night. God bless. Love you all. And I'll see you all soon, okay? Night, everybody. Bye, guys.
Chris?
Yes.
The list of the venues for the Cape Town meetings, can you make that available?
Yep. It's going to be tomorrow. It'll be on the groups.
Get our heads around who lives where and who's closest to what venue, and then
that'll be out on the group out tomorrow, because that's when it starts. First one on Saturday, and then bam.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys. Bye, everybody.